Music lesson and history lesson. Music lesson. Clara Rockmore, born Clara Reisenberg in Vilnius, Lithuania on March 9th, 1911, making her a Pisces. She is generally regarded as the most accomplished theremin performer and establishing both the theremin and experimental music in general as a respected art form. She was a child prodigy born to Lithuanian Jewish parents in the Russian Empire as a violinist and entered the Imperial Conservatory of St. Petersburg at the age of 5. One of her classmates was Yasha Heifetz. That's cool. She later gave it up due to physical strain from tendinitis. She had a special theremin tailored by Leon Theremin himself to meet her unique requirements, which she then used to perform classical works. Under her control, the theremin sounded like a blend of a cello, violin, and a human voice. She often turned down soundtrack work that asked her to create spooky sounds. One of these people that she turned down was Alfred Hitchcock. In 1977, at the age of 66, she recorded her debut album called The Art of the Theremin. Her older sister plays piano, and the album was produced by Bob Moog and his wife Shirley. Okay, I've not heard this album, but I'm going to hear this album. It was the only time in her lifetime, it was the only album in her lifetime, and featured interpretations of classical compositions by Tchaikovsky, Glazunov, Ravel, Stravinsky, Rachmaninoff, among others. She wrote a detailed guide on how to perform the theremin. She died in New York City on May 10th, 1998, at the age of 87. And now, history. Yes, I'm going to read from this book again. More Shocking Secrets in American History, 103 Surprising Amusing Tales by Bill Coate. He has another book out because this is more shocking. More shocking. I don't know if he means like, it's more shocking than the first book. Or if it's just more shocking ones, you know. How the American Revolution broke family bonds. It is a well-known fact that the Civil War tore at the very fabric of America's family life. Is that better? Is it better like that? In that conflict, when brother fought against brother and father against son, many of the bonds that had held society together were cut. The war between the states, however, was not the only struggle that put a strain on family ties. Is that a show, Family Ties? Did they mean the show? The American Revolution operated every bit as effectively to sever family affiliations. Take, for instance, that situation in New Jersey between the royal governor and his famous father. That's what we're going to learn about right now. In 1776, as the tide of the Revolution rolled through the American colonies, the governor of New Jersey... Who is this governor? They haven't said who the governor is yet. The governor of New Jersey found himself dangerously out of step with his fellow citizens. Although born in America, he had spent much of his life in England, where he had earned a master's degree at Oxford, and was later accepted to the bar. Because he had a drinking problem. In 1763, at the conclusion of the French and Indian War... Indian? I think they mean indigenous? Native American? I think they mean Indian War. French and India go to war together? He came back home to be named Royal Governor of New Jersey. The first 2 years of his term were pleasant and uneventful. Sounds like much of our lives, pleasant and uneventful. And he was instrumental in founding Queen's College, now known as Rutgers University. In 1765, however, he was unable to enforce the Stamp Act passed by Parliament, and when the spirit of revolution began to build, he was powerless to stop it, even if he wanted to do so. Clearly, independence was in the air, but the governor couldn't bring himself to surrender his loyalty to King George, notwithstanding the fact that his father, who would soon sign the Declaration of Independence, implored his son to embrace the patriotic cause. Who is this governor? We don't know yet. The son held firm and soon found himself in trouble. With relations between the mother country and the colonies already shattering by fighting, New Jersey's governor was placed under house arrest in January 1776, and in June he was taken to Connecticut and held as a prisoner of war for the next 2.5 years. Later he was officially stripped of his office by the provincial legislature and exiled to England. Meanwhile, the governor's father continued his fight against the British. The son never came back to America, and he never really reconciled with his father, who a few years before his death finally broke down and wrote his wayward son a letter. That's hard to say, wayward son a letter. I can't believe we're running out of time. That's so sad. absolutely gutted about running out of time, right when I was in the middle of giving this fabulous presentation. The son never came back to America, and he never really reconciled with his father, who a few years before his death finally broke down and wrote his wayward son a letter. Nothing has ever hurt me as to find myself deserted in my old age by my only son, and not only deserted, but to find him taking up arms against me in a cause wherein my good fame, fortune, and life are all at stake. We still don't know who this person is. I mean, you do if you're, reading the caption. But shh! Don't spoil it for the other people. That son who spurned his father's counsel and turned his back on the patriot cause was none other than William Franklin, the son of Benjamin Franklin. Father and son were separated by the schism, the Tool song, that created the United States of America, and the son was on the losing side. They didn't say anything about the moon, but the son was on the losing side. And I could have redone the entire video, but I thought I'll have part 1 and part 2 because why not?